Hello everyone! From the release of Natlan until today's video, I was quite skeptical of this region, but the 5.1 update surprised me in a good way and I definitely have something to say. As always, we are once again presented with a huge amount of information after a long break in the main story, so the appearance of something new evokes a lot of emotions. Let's break it all down in order. Natlan is a region of war, but until the 5.1 update this did not fit in my head. After all, looking at the picturesque hot springs, Saurians breakdancing, the question arises, where is the war? It seemed like the people of Natlan were living a perfectly ordinary life except for their pilgrimage of the return of the sacred flame and going to the Night Kingdom to fight Abyss. However, that wasn't enough because we are used to the Abyss, which has been infiltrating Teyvat since the invasion of Primordial One and continues to terrorize this world even now. Knowing that the people of Natlan possess a sort of immortality and are able to bring back fallen heroes with the Ode of Resurrection, at the beginning of the Natlan storyline, it might have seemed like their problems weren't serious. This world is completely understandable to them, so Abyss is not a threat to them. Besides, they perceive pilgrimage more as a competition. Nevertheless, Natlan remains the most vulnerable target, as the ancient battle destroyed this part of the world, allowing Abyss to invade. The ley lines suffered the most damage, and to help the people of Natlan, Lord of the Night used parts of the old ley lines to create a new network, now known as the Night Kingdom. After strengthening this kingdom and establishing the rules, the first Pyro Archon Xbalanque granted the people Ode of Resurrection and Pilgrimage as a way to battle Abyss. Other regions have stable and sturdy ley lines, and the last thing they should worry about is Abyss. Moreover, back in the distant times, Phanes had sealed the cracks of Teyvat with celestial spikes. However, as you can see, he was unable to protect Natlan from another breakthrough. If you look closely at the spike in Natlan, you can see that it is still trying to absorb the power of Abyss, emitting the same glow as our protagonist's hand when he cleanses the body and mind of a person affected by Abyss. The power of Abyss is well established in Night Kingdom and is not going to let go, so now this spike can be compared to a fan on a hot summer day which only drives hot air. It's a little better with him, but he can't fix the situation completely. Even though the situation in Night Kingdom hasn't improved, Natlan still maintains stability. If Spike hadn't been here all this time, Natlan wouldn't exist anymore either. Now Natlan shone with new colors and fully felt like a region of war, where the power of Abyss manifested in full force and the region was on the verge of destruction. It was therefore no surprise that Capitano and Mavuika joined together in a temporary alliance. Some players may still find this surprising, as Harbingers and Fatui have long been associated with negative characters, but regardless of their intentions, the most significant threat in Natlan remains Abyss. Especially since Capitano is a man of honor and witnessed the destruction of Khaenri'ah. No one in their right mind would want to live through that again, especially when there's an opportunity to take control of the situation and repel the attack. Speaking of Capitano, in the new quest we learned that he survived the disaster in Khaenri'ah and saw the destruction and horror of Abyss with his own eyes. His family, loved ones, and homeland were completely destroyed under the onslaught of Abyss. When the situation became desperate, he fled to Natlan with the remaining members of his warband, but found that Natlan too had suffered the same calamity. He defended these lands for a long time and in the process became acquainted with the chief of the Masters of the Night Tribe. The chief was kind to him, even though many considered the Khaenri'ah to be responsible for the tragedy. Together, they fought many battles and overcame countless challenges. Unfortunately, the chieftain could not escape his fate and in the last moments of his life revealed to Capitano the secret of Gnosis. All these years Capitano fought for Natlan, and that is how he learned of all of Mavuika's plans. Unfortunately, the curse of immortality does not protect the body from decomposition, so Capitano's true face is long gone. In simple terms, Capitano had become an almost completely rotted walking corpse. Certainly, Capitano knew Dainsleif, and it is likely that they served in the same palace guard of Khaenri'ah. However, Capitano did not know how Dane had managed to slow down the process of his body's destruction. But considering that he last saw Dane in person when he was traveling with our twin, I dare say that the twin has occasionally extracted a part of Abyss from Dane, thanks to which he has not yet rotted away. I can't find any other explanation yet. If our protagonist can filter the Abyss, what prevents our twin who wanders the Abyss from having complete control over its flows and influences? Perhaps something similar has happened to Piero. However, Dain and Piero continue to hide their faces and wear a mask, but their facial features we can at least discern, unlike Capitano who has completely hidden his countenance for certain reasons. An interesting point was that during the main plot, the soul of a Khaenri'ah resident known as Guthred took over Auroron's body. Guthred referred to Capitano as the commander and stated that he had not changed in any way. We have already seen a similar character named Halfdan. He was a comrade of Dain. Guthred was willing to take over Ororon's body in order to serve his Capitano to the end. While Halfdan was just enough to see Dain to realize that Khaenri'ah was not completely dead yet because Dain was still here. Guthred and Halfdan have absolutely identical clothes, indicating that they were also members of the same palace guard but under different commands. Thus, Capitano is the third Khaenri'ah resident that Tsaritsa has taken under her wing. It seems that the scriptwriters decided to make up for lost time and crammed a lot of information into Natlan that should have been revealed earlier. Mavwika and the 6 Wesa, the 6 chosen warriors, were able to repel the attack, but Abyss still remained as in the old days, descended into the Night Kingdom once again, and the next attack would probably be even more horrible. The worst part was that they had already unleashed a great power that could only be used once. As originally revealed, this power was given to the first Pyro Archon Xbalanque by Ronova, a god who controls the power of death and one of the Four Shades' heavenly principles. But the use of this power requires payment in the form of life. All indications are that Mavwika will have to sacrifice her life to save Natlan. Surprisingly, Xbalanque was able to negotiate with Shade heavenly principles, and he spoke to her as if he were Shade himself, rather than the other way around. Moreover, it was believed that Ronova had greatly exceeded her powers as a Shade, which Celestia did not like. At the conclusion of the story, Lord of the Night mentions that Ronova has sent Capitano on a long journey. This hints at his connection to Ronova. Perhaps he is her servant and is preparing for a decisive battle with the final enemy. I think the Shade's heavenly principles deserve special attention, so I'll try to release a video on the subject soon. The same goes for the mysterious false sky shards and rifts. The 5.1 update has given me a lot of food for thought, and I can't wait to break down the next topics. Lastly, let's discuss Lord of the Night. Few fairies remain in Natlan, all of them rallying around Lord of the Night, which is why we meet one of them for the first time in Night Kingdom. Curiously, Lord of the Night referred to the fairies as an evolved form, though it would be logical to consider the opposite. In the past, fairies have lost their beautiful humanoid forms, voices, and wisdom, becoming tiny creatures that can easily be scattered by the wind. But perhaps she was referring to a time when fairies were a great race whose purpose was to help humanity. Based on the words of Lord of the Night, fairies and angels are actually one and the same, as both races acted as messengers of Celestia. A Drunkard's Tale mentions an angelic hall where one of the fairies met. The houses of the fairies themselves look like little sculptures with wings like angels. This is how the many theories about Colombina came to be, as well as forming a close connection to angels, fairies, and Celestia. I continue to hope that Colombina will turn out to be one of the supreme fairies who managed to retain her original appearance, mind, and voice. Well, that's the end of my story. Thanks for watching. Write in the comments what you think about the new update and subscribe to my channel. It gives me more motivation to make videos more often and make them more interesting. See you soon!